I'm Jeff Wimmer from Studio Cycles and StudioCycles.com, and this is our YouTube session on how to properly set up your Star Trac Spinner NXT. You will see dozens, if not hundreds, of people advising you online, YouTube, everywhere how to set up your bikes. And what I'm offering up is just a basic set of guidelines for bike setup and what qualifies me. I worked in the bicycle industry for close to 20 years. I've sold thousands, tens of thousands of bikes to people one-on-one. I've owned over 100 of the best bikes the industry's produced in the last 25 years. I raced professionally myself a long time ago, and I've taught hundreds and hundreds of spinning classes. So I'm certainly not the expert on bike setup when it comes to scientific methods, but for basic parameters, my advice is pretty sound and pretty safe. First of all, if you have medical conditions, you should consult a doctor before using one of these types of bikes or these pieces of equipment. The first thing is leg extension, and that's based on the height of your saddle. In the bicycle industry, there's a general consensus and belief that you should get a maximum leg extension without a straight leg or an extended leg. When the ball of your foot is over the pedal spindle, and the pedal is at what's called the bottom dead center of the rotation, the very lowest point of the rotation, you should have a slight bend in your leg so that when your ass is firm in the saddle and you engage the drivetrain, your rear end is stationary and you get good extension with your legs, a good extension in return. One of the second dynamics for bike setup, I'm keeping this very brief and very simple, so I don't get a lot of hate mail from all the experts and the scientists on the new way to set this up and to do that, because there's a lot of great information out there, but there's a lot of people, I think, giving bad advice. The second dynamic to proper bike setup is the fore and aft adjustment on the saddle. And it's a two-pronged sort of approach on that. First thing is, when the crank arms are horizontal, ball of the foot's over the pedal spindle, crank arms are horizontal, you should be able to look from your knee with an imaginary plumb line from the front of the knee straight down to the pedal spindle and that general area of the ball of your foot, so that you can see that and you can get that sort of imaginary alignment. The second part of that fore and aft adjustment is when you're in hand position 2, you should be in a position where you can bend your elbows so that you get a little bit of upper body movement, and you can get a little bit of rhythm when you're riding the bike in the saddle. And if your arms are locked, your seat's probably back too far. You may also want to raise up your handlebars a little bit. That may help in that department. But when you're riding the bike and you're in the saddle and you're in hand position 2, you should be able to have upper body rhythm when you ride your bike. And having that little bit of a bend in your elbow in hand position 2, in conjunction with this approach, is a pretty fair assessment for fore and aft on the saddle. In terms of handlebar height, that's subjective. I like a high seat and a low bar like my road bikes, but if you're just getting started, or you're just starting on your road to getting fit, you may not want to be hunched over because you may bend the diaphragm and have a hard time breathing, so being upright is good. Raise your handlebars up. Maybe as you get more fit, drop your handlebars down a little bit lower. Keep in mind that one thing I've heard over the years is that because people like to be comfortable on their bikes and be completely upright, sometimes you get spine compression and your torso weight will ride on your tailbone when you ride. But one great thing about riding a bike like this is that if you get fatigued, you can always sit up and open up your chest and stretch out a little bit while you're riding your bike. Check us out at StudioCycles.com. Check out our video library for bike buyer aids. We have bike buyer aid for commercial and residential customers. We also have the only tech support video library in the world for Star Trek and Schwinn. Check us out online again at studiocycles.com.